Let's take a look at systems of inequalities. And let's graph our first one. I'm not going to do a whole lot of these by hand, with the exception of this one. Pretty much I'll do them on a calculator if they can be done on a calculator. Now there's a few I'll do by hand after this one, and the reason I'm doing them by hand is you can't do them on a calculator, and I'll mention as we go along. But instructions are to graph this each inequality. Well, graphing an inequality in two variables. Step 1. Pretend the inequality symbol is an equals and graph like normal. And graph like normal, with the exception that if you have a less than or greater than, it's going to be a dotted line. If you have a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it'll be a solid line. Well, this particular problem here, if I pretended it was an equals, we'd have y is equal to 1/3 x. Now, the greater than or equal to means we're going to have a solid line. Now, this has a y-intercept of 0, and our slope is 1/3, which means we'll go up 1, right 3, which would be right here. And we said it's going to be a solid line. So we have that. Step 2. Pick a test case. Plug it into, so plug in into your inequality, and see if it's true. So see if it's true. If it's true, then shade decide where the point is. And if it's false, shade the other side. Well, what in the world does this mean? Well, let's pick a test case. I don't know. 5-0. 5-0 would be right here. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Usually the origin is the best one, 0-0. But since this line passes through the origin, then that isn't a good choice for this. Okay, we're going to plug that into our inequality. Excuse me. So we got y is greater than or equal to 1/3 x, and this is x, and this is y. So we'll put 0 in for the y. This is more of a question mark. We're wondering if that's greater than or equal to that. And then we'll put 5 in for the x. So we got 0, and this is a question mark. 1/3 times 5 gives us 5/3. Is 0 greater than or equal to 5/3? No. So this is false. Now, if it had been true, then we would have shaded the side where the point is. So if it had been true, we would have shaded this side. But since it's false, we're going to shade the other side. So that's our answer right there. And I may do one more by hand just so you see it, but Now we're mainly going to show this on the calculator. So let's look at it again on the calculator. They're very, very straightforward in the calculator. There's some items you need to keep in mind. If you got a greater than or greater than or equal to, you're looking at the upper right hand triangle. If you have a less than or less than or equal to, you're looking at the lower left hand triangle. If you have a less than or greater than, it's going to be a dotted line. The calculator does most of this for you. It just doesn't do the dotted and solid. And if you have a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, then you'll have a solid line. Now specifically, to plug anything into your calculator, you have to have y by itself, which is fine. We have y by itself in this one. So let's go plug this in our calculator. So I'll press, clear that out from before. I'll press y equals, and we'll do clear to clear out wherever's in the line, and then we got 1/3 x. So I'll do 1 divided by 3, and then my x. Now look where my cursor is. It's right here. If I do a left arrow key, it goes over one, another one over another one, I'm right here. If I press it some more, eventually my flashing cursor is on the slash here on the far left. That's where we want it to be. Now for this particular problem, it's a greater than or equal to. And this says greater than or equal to is an upper right hand triangle. Well, let's see what that means. If I press enter one time, that slash changes to a thick slash. If I press enter one more time, it changes to an upper right hand triangle, which is what we said we wanted, upper right hand triangle. And once you get it to that, then you press graph. And this would be our answer, except it doesn't do the dotted and solid line. On this particular one, we said it was a solid line. So that's how you can draw a straight line, but use your imagination. That would be our answer. Again, very, very straightforward on the calculator. Well, let's look at number 2. We've got x is greater than 2. This is one of them we have to do by hand. Because remember what I said a little bit ago. You have to get y by itself to put it into your calculator. Well, there is no y to get by itself in this problem. If I think about the greater than not being there, and we have our equals. Well, x is equal to 2. That's a vertical line at 2. Now, greater than means we're going to have a dotted line. So we're going to have a vertical dotted line at 2. Now, greater than 2, greater than is shaded to the right. If it had been less than, we would have shaded to the left. And that applies specifically with a vertical line. So let me start a new page, and we'll look at the next problem. We got y is less than or equal to -1. Let me grab a drink here. This is another one fairly easy by hand. We think instead of the inequality, if we had y equals -1. Well, that's a horizontal line at -1. So that'd be right here. Now specifically, this is a less than or equal to, which means this would be a solid line, like that. Now since it's less than, that means we're going to shade below. Greater than, we'd shade up above. And that's specifically for horizontal. Now this is one you could put into your calculator, because we got y by itself on the left side. So if we were to go over to our calculator, it's kind of a trivia one for the calculator, but if I press y equals clear, and I put in -1. Oh, by the way, most of the times when you press clear here, it'll also clear out this over here in the far left. But on the Neo or TI-84s, it doesn't do that, so you have to set it back yourself. To set it back to where it was, if I put my cursor on that, and you keep pressing enter, eventually it's going to go back to that line. Right there is back where it was. So if you want to set it back to your normal mode for graphing, that's what you have to do. Okay, let me do this one again. We'll press y equals, press clear, put in -1. Now it's a less than or equal to, which means it's a lower left-hand triangle. So I'm going to use my left arrow key to put my cursor on the first slash. Press enter one time, becomes a thick slash. One more time is a top right. One more time is a bottom left, which is what we want. Now press graph. Again, the one thing it doesn't do is this line that separates is shaded from the non-shaded region. You have to look at this less than or equal to, and it's a solid line. So that one you could do via the calculator. This one. X squared plus y squared is less than or equal to 9. Now this one wouldn't work very well on the calculator. Trying to get y by itself would be a nightmare. We'd have to use square root property. We'd have to put one of them on y1, one of them on y2, and it can be done, but it's actually more work to do it that way than just to graph it like normal. Now if you remember what this looks like, when we dealt with circles, x squared plus y squared is equal to 9. This is just a circle with a center at the origin and a radius equal to the square root of this number. So our radius is 3. So we're going to go out, radius of 3, and we're going to draw a circle around. Now it's a less than or equal to. Less than or equal to means it's going to be a solid line. So it'd have that. And since it's less than, then we're going to shade what's inside the circle. And that'd be our answer. If it was a greater than, then we'd shade on the outside, which is actually, I think, the next problem. Yeah. Okay. So we got x squared plus y squared is greater than 25. Again, if I ignored the inequality, we'd have x squared plus y squared equals 25. And this is, again, a circle with the center at the origin. And this would be our radius. And we'll take the square root of that. So square root of 25 is 5. So I'll come here, go out a distance of 5. It's a greater than, which means it's a dotted line. So I have a dotted line going around. And it's a greater than, which means I shade outside of the circle. So that'd be our answer right there. Let's look at this one. Y is less than x squared minus 4. Well, first let me show it by hand. You don't have to do it by hand on this one, because we got y by itself, don't we? Well, if I looked at this, y is equal to x squared minus 4, that's a parabola. And the minus 4 at the end means it's been shifted down 4. Less than means a dotted line. So our graph will look something like that right there. Now, I'll pick a test case. Origin would be a good one. Right here. The origin is 0, 0. So I plug this in for x, plug this in for y. So I have 0 less than, and this is more of a question mark at this point again. 0 squared minus 4. So we got 0 is less than negative 4. Is that true? No, 0 is greater than negative 4, isn't it? So this is false, and since that's false, we don't shade this side. If this was true, we would shade the side where the point falls. Otherwise, we shade the other side, which is all of this right here. Well, let's actually graph this and see what we get. I press Y. Let me clear that. Key press history. Press Y equals, press clear. We got x squared minus 4, so I do x squared minus 4. And I'm going to press my left arrow key to put a clear over there. Actually, we got a less than here, which means we want a lower left, which is already lower left. But if yours isn't, then you keep pressing enter until you get the lower left, and then you press graph. Now again, this will give you pretty much everything except for whether it's a dotted or solid line separating the shaded from the non-shaded. And since it's a less than, that's why this is a dotted line. And it would give us the same graph as what we got right here. Start a new page, and we'll look at the next problem. Now I'm just going to do this on the calculator. Y is greater than or equal to x squared plus 3. Although they are pretty easy by hand. Okay. So we're going to press Y equals. I'll press clear. Actually, I need to clear the key press history. Okay, now press Y equals, press clear. I'll do x squared plus 3. And I'll do a left arrow until my cursor's on that. I'm going to set it back to where it was. Okay, that's our normal viewing. Now greater than or greater than or equal to means upper right hand triangle. So press enter one time, becomes a thick slash. One more time becomes an upper right hand triangle. And now we press graph. And this is basically our answer, except for whether it's a dotted or solid line. Since this is greater than or equal to, that means it'll be a solid line. So that'd be your answer right there.